can we hear me? There we go. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for being here at what I think is our first in-person symposium in London since 2019. So obviously, we've done various other flavors of this, but it's really exciting to be back here at a full-fledged MicroStrategy Symposium, and now a coined AI and BI Symposium. So I wanted to thank you for being here, and also just point out it's a pretty exciting room here today. So we've got customers, we've got partners, and we've got customers that have been customers for 2 weeks, and we've got customers that have been customers for 25, 27 years. We'll learn more in a little bit. I'm stealing the thunder from one of the next presenters. But please, in addition to everything we'll present today, collaborate amongst yourselves. You know, one of the best parts of these events is we're all in the room together and we can collaborate and learn from each other. I won't steal your time for too much, but what I did want to kind of provoke a couple thoughts this morning around simple question. What is the value of data? And upon reflection of this, the value of data really comes from the actions that it leads to. You know, data tells us what's working, what's not working, how we're going to succeed, how we're going to fail, what do we need to do more of, what do we need to do less of. And then that leads us to the action based on that insight. And to start that whole exploration, obviously you need to have the data, but you also need to have a question. Could be a simple question. What are the revenues of product A in the last 6 months? Could be a complex question. What will happen to the revenue of product A in 6 months in the UK if we increase marketing spend by 10%, by 20%? Data and the questions we ask of it leads to insights, which leads us to actions. And the thought I want to leave you here with, and kind of be the backdrop to everything we're about to hear today, is we all know MicroStrategy, the analytics platform. Today you're going to meet MicroStrategy, the answers platform, providing your business with the answers to your questions on your data in the time you need it. And time and trust are two key aspects that we look into when we look into the answers we're getting. The average attention span, I think, is around 8 seconds now. So you need to get that answer and you need to get it quick. And you also need to be able to trust the answers you're getting. And you need to be able to trust the data you're looking at. And just conceptually, I'm sure we can all imagine and think of all the crazy Excel sheets we have floating around our business when end users didn't get the data they wanted in the speed and in the shape or form that they wanted, and they go off and create crazy Excel sheets. What MicroStrategy aims to do is not only be your analytics platform and your analytics partner, but your answers platform, and providing those answers in the time and speed you need it with the trust. And so throughout today, we'll go through how exactly MicroStrategy is that analytics and answers platform. And without further ado, that's my little preamble for the day. We've got some exciting, beyond the customer presentations, roadmap presentations, product presentations, we've also got some other exciting stuff going on. So in the room behind us, just behind the wall behind us, we decided to create a little game for everyone. So what you will find in that room, beyond refreshments, and we'll also have demo capabilities as well, but we've also gone and created a racetrack. So an actual remote control racetrack. And there are prizes, there is winners, but guess what? It's not the fastest. It's the smartest, it's the smoothest. And there's some competitive play. You could go in there and say, oh, Power BI is the fastest, but MicroStrategy is the smartest. But I haven't fully polished that one out yet. And in terms of prizes, look no further. we decided to make it fun. Instead of a gift card or a gift voucher, what's more fun than putting together a 2,000-piece Lego set and completely time-sucking all of your weekend away? But no, we've got surprises for the race car, Legos, and also some chocolates for the runners-up. And again, it's smoothest and or smartest, not the fastest. So just remember that when you're doing it. Also, your insight matters. MicroStrategy is where we are today because of your collaboration, your insight, and your input really matters to us in terms of how we develop our product, where we take it, where we invest our R&D, but also in terms of the market as well. So we gladly would invite you, and it's much appreciated. If you do have the time today, take 5-10 minutes and help us out with Gartner and their Peer Insights survey. And of course, there's prizes for that as well. So on the other side of the podium here, you'll see the nice backpack, rucksack. I always forget what I should call it, but we've got some nice backpacks for 5 lucky winners who fill out the Gartner Peer Insights. And with that, we also want to take just 1 second to recognize and play a little appreciation to our hosts today at the Hilton, who, guess what? Surprise, surprise, are a customer as well. So let's see if I get this right.
Our founder, over 100 years ago, set out with a clear vision, which was to fill the earth with the light and warmth of hospitality. He really believed that he could make the world a better place through travel. And we continue to believe in that, and it guides us every day.
Hilton delivers service across the world to everyone. We put smiles on everyone's faces and really makes a great place for anyone to stay anywhere in the world.
Hilton, it's all about hospitality, but it's not just how we treat our guests. It really comes through in how we treat each other. It really helps us to deliver and innovate that baseline hospitality towards each other.
Hilton has a history of innovation, whether that's a pina colada invented at one of our hotels, the brownie invented at one of our hotels, to things like televisions in your room and air conditioning.
There's more people traveling with their families, they're traveling with their children, and they are staying for longer. When we see the data around more people in the room, when we see the data around longer length of stays, that means that we then need to pivot how we are providing the right sort of amenities, products, and services, like our new Confirmed Connecting Room product. It's really impactful as a mom, having the confidence that when I'm staying at a hotel with my children, that we're going to be able to be next to each other.
We're enabling customers to use their device to pick their room from a floor plan before they arrive with us, check in, use their phone as their key so they can bypass the front desk, and then ultimately check out at the end of their stay if they don't want to, without engaging a team member at all. We unlock all the data flowing in these customer interactions, tapping into these trends of increasingly customers wanting to use their devices to enable them to have choice and control.
The way we really empower that is through a superior data and analytics environment. Across the entire industry, we've brought best-in-class access to data that cuts across all of our various products and all of our various teams across our company, and bring that in really simple ways to drive decisions for our hotel owners, managers, and really create a better guest experience.
MicroStrategy has helped us take all of this explosion of data, structure it effectively in a way that we can provide it back to frontline team members, business managers, strategy leaders across the company, so that they can use it to make their decisions. And to me, that's where the power is.
Our MicroStrategy tools have empowered consistency. We know that no matter what team you're on, you're getting access to the best, most up-to-date information that's really been designed and fit for purpose. It's allowed us to really up our game and doing more advanced forms of analytics and deeper dives into performance across our portfolio.
Through reporting with MicroStrategy, we've started to create digital key analytics and to look for ways to better engage with customers and actually drive more adoption of digital key across our hotels.
We've been able to build on a really strong analytics foundation to deliver much deeper customer analytics to support the business. And MicroStrategy was foundational in our ability to do that, to democratize the data, to enable business users to have access to that data, to be able to understand their KPIs and their metrics and how the business was performing.
Our whole success is built on customer-centric innovation. Finding pain points that customers have or things that they love, and then evolving our brands, our products, our service culture, and our technology to meet and exceed those needs. That's all about how you collect data, how you turn it into insights, and then how you then integrate it back into the action of your business. It's the core of our success.
Very good. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to bring up to the stage our Chief Marketing Officer, master of all things MicroStrategy, something like that, right? Hugh Owen.
Take it.
There you are, sir.
Hello. We try to mix it up with you, right? So we put an American in charge of the United Kingdom. And I spent 24 years working at our headquarters in America, but I'm not American and still don't sound like it. I actually, so recently, I moved to America to work for MicroStrategy, right? My name's Hugh. I run our global go-to-market, and recently had what I told my family was America Day. Because I finally got to the point where I've spent more of my life living in America than I had growing up in England. And I tried to persuade my daughter that I was going to wake up one morning with an American accent and we'd serve hot dogs for every meal. It didn't happen. But anyway, so I'm excited to be here, excited to be back at one of our in-person symposiums. Thank you so much for those of you who are customers. And those of you who are partners and the customers that are presenting today, you know, it means the world to us that we get to build product that you use and use in many, many different interesting ways. And one of the things that I get to do today is share with you some of the developments that are coming out of our R&D team that we're shipping and that have shipped in terms of new capabilities, a lot of great new AI capabilities that I'm going to walk you through. And also, because I'm very closely aligned with our product team and our technology team, I'm going to also show you a number of different things that we have in our roadmap, things that we are planning to ship in December, and also things that we're planning to ship in 2024 as well. So yeah, without further ado, I guess the Gen AI has you know, I was in the airport yesterday and sort of looking through all the different, got to the airport a little early, looking through all the different business magazines. And like Gen AI is on the front of every single one of them. It's clearly, I guess, show of hands, who here has used OpenAI? Okay, so considering it's, and who here had used OpenAI a year ago? Okay, so there's, I mean, you look at the adoption just based on the sample size of this room. It's something that is all of a sudden like permeating into our lives. But if you, I think a good analogy for it is if you think back to mobile, like within that first sort of 6 to 12 to 2 year period with mobile, like the iPhone came out, maybe iPhone 3, iPhone 4, and there was lots of interest in it. But no one really, everyone was still kind of working it out, right? People were using it as like a scan through and find local restaurants maybe, or throw pigs at birds or birds at pigs or whatever it may be. And people were just kind of working out and then trying to work out how to apply that to business. I think we're in the same stage with Gen AI, right? We have this really, really interesting set of capabilities and we're all trying to work out how to apply them to problems. What we do at MicroStrategy, right, we have a very clear vision. We've had it for 34 years. Right? Our vision is intelligence everywhere. We strongly believe that our role in the world is to build software to help people, to help companies put intelligence into the hands of as many people as possible. And whenever a new capability, new technology like Gen AI comes out, we try to apply that to our vision, right? When, you know, you go as far back as we had a great two-tier software and the web comes out, right? So we put our engineering force, our engineering team focused on, okay, how do we build software to take advantage of the web, of the internet? And we were the first company to have web BI, right? And then cloud comes out. How do we leverage cloud to provide more flexibility to deliver on that vision? Mobile comes out, all right? How do we use BlackBerries? How do we use the iPhone to deliver on that vision? And now Gen AI comes out, we ask the same questions. How do we take this new technology, but down to our core, our why, like how do we build things to help our customers continue to put intelligence in the hands of as many people as possible? And I think, you know, Gen AI is interesting because you notice in the sort of title of the event, right? It's AI and BI. AI is useful in many, many different ways. BI is useful in many, many different ways. And separately, they add value. It's the combination of the two that we genuinely believe produces the most value for our customers, right? BI, and with MicroStrategy, BI is incredibly precise. Actually, I genuinely believe that our multi-pass SQL engine is the best deterministic engine in the world, right? If you think about the SQL engine that you have, if you use MicroStrategy, like, it is incredibly good at getting answers out of data, but unlike Gen AI, you could ask, like, what were sales last month, or what were, you know, how much revenue did this certain store generate last year? You could ask that query via SQL 1 time, 10 times, 10,000 times. You'll get the same answer 10,000 times, right? Whereas AI, you could ask that question 10,000 times and you'd try it, right? Here's actually a great exercise if you want to have fun with OpenAI. Next time you go in, say, and I did this on the plane to double check. So I wrote up, it was like, I'm going to present at an event. I need a bio. Write a bio for me that describes, you know, my academic history and my job history, including where I worked, where I went to school, and it comes out, it was like, yeah, and it gives you an answer. It's guessing. It said I went to the University of Edinburgh, not true. And then it said I worked at like 3 different companies. It's all not true. But it gives you an answer, and it looks pretty good. Like, it sounds right. It's a probabilistic engine. It's guessing at what it thinks is right. And then, the next part of the little experiment, you say, that's wrong, try again. Then it said I went to the University of North Carolina. So not true. But it gives you the information as if it's fact, right? And so it's trying to guess. Now, apply that to what was the revenue in the store last year. Right? How much sales did we make last month? It's going to go through all the information, and it's going to guess at it, right? So there's loads and loads of benefits of Gen AI in terms of the way that we can interact with it, but you've got to combine it. You've got to combine the probabilistic engine with the deterministic engine to be able to get the precision of BI, but all the benefits of Gen AI. And now I generally believe that, so that's what we're working on at MicroStrategy, and with a set of new capabilities that we've recently launched, I think that we're starting to deliver on that. If, you know, I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of people who were MicroStrategy customers and people who we'd actually like to be MicroStrategy customers, and it's clear that a lot of organizations have this mandate to, all right, explore Gen AI and find ways to inject Gen AI into what we do. And so then, you know, someone's like, all right, big executives said, all right, you need to embrace Gen AI and find ways to apply Gen AI to what we do. And you're like, oh, well, my responsibilities are analytics. And you say, okay, well, what are all the challenges with doing that? What are all the problems I got to solve? And you've got to solve a variety of problems, right? You've got to build a user interface to that, right? You've got to be able to deliver information that your users can trust, right? You've got to understand, you've got to learn very, very quickly a set of AI skills, and then you've got to integrate it with all of the investments you've already got in place, right? The infrastructure, the databases. And so we have built product that we shipped just about 3 weeks ago with a product we call MicroStrategy AI that we believe solves all these things. Rather than me going into it, let me show you it. So we call it MicroStrategy AI. Right? And one of the ways that we've surfaced that through the product is a new chatbot. A chatbot that is alongside a variety of the different things you do, whether you're an analyst, an administrator. The chatbot is called Auto. And Auto because, if you've driven a car, manual, there aren't that many manual cars left in America, but there's lots in Britain. And so, like, it's the difference between having to manually change gears between just driving a car and it does it for you, right? Automatically helping you as you build analytics, as you analyze your data. And there are 4 new main capabilities that we've shipped with MicroStrategy AI. Let me show you what they are. Well, the first one is Auto Dashboard. You'll notice a consistency, auto something, right? So automatic building of dashboards, right? And so if you think that the challenge you have is, as those of you who build dashboards, you'll be in a situation where someone's like, all right, I really need you to build this dashboard for me. All right, I need it in a day, 2 hours, okay? So how can we help you, right? Well, we've got this amazing Gen AI set of capabilities that is able to interpret, very, very sort of loose language requests. And we've got the MicroStrategy engine that understands the data and understands the infrastructure of the data. How can we combine the two to help solve that problem? So with Auto Dashboard, here's how it works. And this is in the product today. All right, so I've got a nice little dashboard, and let me show you, how we help you build it. So I've got a pretty simple, it's an existing dashboard. We've got, it's a little script on the screen on that side, but we've got a couple of pages, and we select Create New Page. And we click the Auto button in the top right-hand corner, and MicroStrategy has already sent a sample set of data and the structure, the metadata of the data, to OpenAI, the Azure OpenAI service, and we recommend some starting points of analysis that you could say, okay, based on the data, here's 5 different types of analysis that we think you could do with this data. You can click on one of those and it would automatically generate the set of answers. Or maybe you're like, okay, well, I don't want your suggestions. I want to come up with my own suggestion. In the same way that you interact with OpenAI, you can go ahead and type whatever you want. Right? We're going to use OpenAI's understanding of language to interpret that and apply it to the data. So you could say, all right, give me a dashboard that's going to explain employee performance. Right? And then it's going to send the information to OpenAI, interpret what you've asked, apply that to the underlying data you've got, run that through MicroStrategy's engine, and then build the dashboard for you. Way faster than a day, way faster than 2 hours, and now made possible because of the way that we're combining Gen AI and BI. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, and there are more people probably here that build dashboards, or now could build dashboards, than there are who are looking through SQL. I personally haven't written a SQL statement probably in about 20 years. But we've added a new capability. We call it Auto SQL, and maybe now I can again. Maybe I shouldn't. All right, so what does Auto SQL do? You can imagine if you, in your organization, right, if you are the sort of person that looks through SQL statements, you're probably inheriting somebody else's SQL statement in most of the cases, right? Somebody else has written some freeform SQL, and they're like, okay, well, we need to change this report. I need to understand how this report is working. And then you come across it and you're like, oh, I got to pass through that. Wouldn't it be easy if you could use, in the same way you use OpenAI, you could use OpenAI and type a question, explain this SQL to me. right? Or wouldn't it be easy if you could write a query and say, all right, produce some freeform SQL for me that is going to be able to return these results, right? And interact with it via chat. And so this is how it works. Okay, so now we've got the auto bot alongside the freeform SQL editor. And I can say, okay, well, give me a SQL statement that is going to generate a certain set of results, and it's going to generate the SQL for you because it understands the underlying data structure. And then you can go and see the sample size and start to interact with it. Okay, and you missed out call center, include call center, so it will go do that. And you can now see, so for those of you, and this is part of MicroStrategy that is probably something the architects use, but for those of you who use freeform SQL editor, the auto experience, the chatbot experience, is now integrated alongside it. You can then, right, continue to interact with it. One of the cool things about auto, and show it here, but it's consistent in all the other places, it out of the box supports all of the languages that MicroStrategy supports. So if you want to go and interact with it in Japanese or German or whatever, MicroStrategy supports that. All right, so that's auto SQL. Third thing. Now the third thing solves a problem that is something that it solves a problem of I need to do something in MicroStrategy, but I don't know how to do it. How do I do it? All right, and historically there's a number of different ways. You're like, I need to build a compound metric, or and how do I go about that? And because of the ways that MicroStrategy is trying to support you, you could say, okay, well there's a set of information on the community, right? Or you could go post a question on the community and go get some help. Well, there's a set of information in our education courses, right? Maybe you access education, you go through the courses, and you find the section that answers it. Well, there's documentation. The tech team have built all this amazing documentation. Maybe you scour through the documentation and you find it. Okay, but now I've sent you on 3 different paths. What if we were to get all the information from all of those places, stick them, that's probably not the technical term, place them delicately, load in a custom chatbot experience and put that on our website so it's informed by all of our documentation, various parts of our education courses, every single article that's been written on the community. And on our website, you can click on a button and ask a question, and it gives you the answer there. Right? It is a MicroStrategy educated chat experience. This one, obviously, doesn't need you access to your data. Right? This one is not, you don't need to have a MicroStrategy environment. Right? So this is available to everybody in the world directly from MicroStrategy.com. I encourage you to go try it out. Ask questions. When you have a challenge, go use the bot. It has a little thumbs up, thumbs down thing. We have a team of people at headquarters that look at every single thumbs up and thumbs down. So we're constantly training it and getting it better. Everybody in the world can access that for free. I think you just have to log in. All right, and finally, the fourth and by far and away my favorite, which is why it's last, is auto answers. Now, auto answers. So as someone who worries a lot about MicroStrategy's business, I'm constantly worried about who's using our products and how they're using the product, and what opportunities we're generating so that we can help grow the business, and what features are we developing. We use, as you would imagine, the cobbler's children actually has pretty good shoes. We use dashboards significantly at MicroStrategy to do that analysis. All right. As someone who looks at those, I spend more time looking at dashboards than I do building them these days. Auto answers is a tremendous help for me, right? And auto answers are going to be tremendous help to every single person in your that you support who needs, to Seth's point, answers, right? So how does auto answers work? Well, it places Gen AI alongside every single one of your existing dashboards. All right, so in MicroStrategy library, I've got a set of dashboards, and navigate to one of them. Okay, we just saw this one being built, but now I click on the auto chatbot, and now what it does, it automatically, based on the structure of the data and the sample size of the data that we send to the Azure OpenAI services, suggests some analysis some questions that I could ask of the data. And so every single piece of data that underlines this dossier, I can now use Gen AI to ask, open chat questions of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you, if you ask a question, what is the trend behind these open cases, we're going to give you back the answer. We're going to also translate the answer into sort of sentence structure so you can understand it. We're going to leverage a library of visualizations to support and provide you additional answers. We've also integrated a number of different prediction engines in addition to the integration with OpenAI, so that you can now ask for trends and patterns. My favorite one is key indicators. So we've added a key indicator engine in the background, so I can ask, okay, what are the key influences, what are the key indicators that are driving the patterns in the data? And I can access all of that through this new auto experience that is automatically on alongside every single dashboard. And that is auto answers. And all of those 4 things are already in the product, are already GA. And we're pretty proud about that because as you're aware, there are a number of different analytics products in the world, right? From pretty much every single major software vendor has an analytics solution. There's a lot of excitement around Gen AI, and there's a lot of demos that people are doing. If you look into the details, a lot of companies are showing things and then promising releases in early, midsummer 2024 or second half of the year 2024. Our tech team, we told them to dedicate all of their resources to getting this product at a GA quality and into market as quickly as possible. And we shipped it 3 weeks ago. And we believe that this is a first-to-market product that every single MicroStrategy customer is going to benefit from. All right, so that's the 4 different experiences. Why does it work? Okay, so we've been speaking to a lot of analysts recently. And one of the analysts was asking me, it's like, well, we've seen other functionality like this over the last few years. What's different about MicroStrategy's approach? And there's a couple of things of note here. One is, up until LLMs came out, up until that development became mainstream, and even so, there was a lot of interest with OpenAI before their APIs were published. Up until that came available, AI was really more machine learning and very sort of deliberate tasks. With the more deep learning approach and the neural networks, it's opened up a set of capabilities that we believe at MicroStrategy make it ready to be applied in this way, and in a way that our customers would actually get value from it. And a lot of the, it's one of those things, it doesn't work until it works. A lot of the machine learning capabilities that were in market previously were they were demoware, but they weren't really applicable and valuable to our customers. The advances in LLMs and the availability of access to those LLMs via their APIs changed that completely. The other big advantage of applying it in MicroStrategy is, for those of you who use MicroStrategy has always been very, very good at building a semantic graph, of building a metadata layer, of building data about your data. Because we have, in every single MicroStrategy deployment, that data about your data, it means that when you apply the Gen AI to the underlying data, you're actually going to get back information from it that you can trust. Right? And it's the existence of that semantic graph that causes the application of Gen AI to give you answers that are valid. Right? The other advantage in MicroStrategy is, as an open architecture, we have a variety of connectors to all manner of different locations where your data is stored. And the more access to data, the better set of answers you're going to get. And so if you're limited with a generative AI experience on one set of data, right, the answers are going to be less valuable. If you, and almost all of you, I imagine, have data deployed in multiple different locations, you probably have dashboards that you want to be served by data from SQL Server and some Excel data, or SQL Server and some data that's stored in AWS, or direct connect to information that's in Salesforce, and also supplement that with stuff that's coming from Oracle. Right? Every single implementation usually is a little bit different, right? Because of the ability to connect to all these different sets of data, you're going to get richer and better answers out of the Gen AI experience. And then the other thing that I think is worthy of note is you could say, okay, this is great. I really like having a chat interface that I could deploy to my users. And they can ask any question that they want, and then they're going to get answers. But I love it so much, I'm just going to go, can't be that difficult, I'm going to go build it myself, right? So then the reality is, okay, how difficult would it be to go build one of these, build a data-driven chat experience yourself? And you can actually use OpenAI. Again, here's another little piece of homework. Go into OpenAI next time you have a second and say, all right, I want to build this chatbot. It's going to do, whatever solution you have. I'm going to serve these users with this data, and what steps should I go through it? And it will come out something like this. It turns out it is incredibly difficult in terms of all of the things you need to design, in terms of all of the AI tool sets that you need to become familiar with, into all of the AI skills that you need to learn, to then be able to go and build one of these things for yourself. Which is why I think an approach like MicroStrategy is where you can essentially just drag and drop and turn on these experiences is significantly simpler. Yeah, don't try and read that. It goes on forever. Okay, so how have we integrated it into our platform? Well, we've integrated it as a service. So everyone who deploys MicroStrategy in our cloud, the AI service is integrated and part of that. So in terms of looking at your dashboards, looking at dossiers, there's no work to be done. Literally, it's just there. You just click it. And so therefore, it's leveraging any existing semantic graph you have in place. It's leveraging any security that you've got in place, any governance that you have in place. If you have 500 users and they all have different security permissions, and they all have security permissions that maybe are based on what data they can see from different databases or row-level security, it inherits all of that security and governance. You also have all of the governance in terms of tracking who's using what and who's looking at what data. You also have all of the advantages of all of the reusability we have from our object-driven development process as well. It's integrated across everything we do, and it's surfaced up through the web. We're also going to add capabilities in the future, so it's surfaced up through things like hyperintelligence and surfaced up on the mobile devices as well. It also means that you can deploy it in all the different places that you can deploy MicroStrategy today, right? Whether you're deploying, and we have a very open model, right, where you can deploy it on multiple different hyperscalers, and as we pointed out, accessing data from many, many different places. And then, what's the secret sauce, right? What causes this to work in a way that is different, okay? Why does it take an R&D team, an engineering team of experts at MicroStrategy to build it? Well, this is the secret sauce, right? Traditional tools, which one? I'll do this one. So traditional tools that would just use Gen AI on data. The challenge on the far, your left, on your left, the queries the data, and then Gen AI is going to do the formatting and then send you back the answer. But the problem with that is that's 100% probabilistic engine, and then we have the same challenge. And there's actually, there's a white paper we published on our website where we actually have a structure of data, and we run you run pure Gen AI questions against the data without integrating with a deterministic engine, and get back different result sets every single time. And I'm sure for those of you who serve executives or your business with data, if you were to get different results published every single time someone ran a report, it's not a good thing. Probably a bad thing. All right? So what does MicroStrategy do? What we do is we leverage the combination of the two. Right? When someone, as I showed you in those examples, when someone turns on the chatbot, that chatbot has access to the metadata, structure of the data, and then it sends a sample set of the data. Not all of it, because you could have a dashboard that connects to a database that has gigabytes of data. We're not going to send that to OpenAI. We send a sample set of the data, enough so it can understand the type of data that it's looking at. And then whether it sends it enough to then get some, okay, these are the sorts of analysis you could do, or these are the sorts of questions you could answer. And then if there's a specific question of Gen AI, right, we then send that all the way through to, let's say you've typed a question. So you've typed a question of, we use an example. Let's say I've got a bunch of information about customers, right? And my question is, I'm really interested what are my top 10 accounts based on activity in the last year? And that's just your loose question. Okay, well, we're going to send that question as it is, along with the metadata, along with the sample set to Gen AI, because one of the first things we want to do, and there's, for every single question we send through, there's a ridiculous amount of prompt engineering that goes all the way through to OpenAI. One of the first things we want to do is we want to interpret that question to the data you have. And so in that instance, the question is what are the top 10 accounts based on activity in the last year? Okay, well, maybe in the data, you don't have the word count anywhere. Maybe the attribute name is customer, okay? Well, and then maybe, how do you interpret activity in the last year? Is there an activity metric? Probably not, right? So we need the Gen AI engine to start doing its work to say, okay, well, accounts probably means customers. And activity in the last year, let's start to make some assumptions. Okay, activity could be revenue, could be bookings, could be whatever, clicks on the website. And then it then combines the two, sends it back to MicroStrategy, and then MicroStrategy generates a SQL query that it will then send through, and the final part, explanation, that's when we send the results, and then it adds to it, okay, I think this is the best visualization to use to explain this data. I think this is the best sentence structure, to explain the results, and sends it all the way back through. So it means that we've got the deterministic value of MicroStrategy combined with the flexibility and the ease of use of Gen AI. I also know I keep using OpenAI pretty loosely. Right? MicroStrategy doesn't integrate with OpenAI. We actually integrate with the Azure services OpenAI. It's a completely different service than OpenAI. The Azure services OpenAI, the Azure OpenAI service is provided by Microsoft and has a much more rigorous set of controls. No data sent to it is ever stored by Microsoft. No data sent to it is ever used to train the model, right? And that's the one that is much more robust and enterprise class and provides all of the controls with the APIs. And then, obviously, the integration, I mentioned already, you get all the benefits of being able to deploy it on various different MicroStrategy infrastructure. And so whether that be, and the most recent version of MicroStrategy is as we continue to move from a monolith architecture to a microservices-based architecture. It means that when you're deploying these AI applications, the AI BI applications, you're able to on all of the different hyperscalers. And this is all available today. All right, I should be fine. Where's Peter? How quickly do I need to end? 5 minutes? 5 minutes. All right. It's available today. Speak to your account team. Now let me show you some of the things that we're working on for December and working on for the rest of the year in 6 minutes. All right, and the legal team, because you've got to love them, they want me to tell you that these, like, it's in the future. We're very, very confident in our roadmap, but it's in the future. So, safe harbor statement. All right, next thing. One of the coolest things is, okay, that's great that I have chat alongside my dashboards, and I can turn it all on. But I think, in terms of delivering intelligence everywhere, one of the most exciting things you can do with MicroStrategy, and this will be available in December, is you can actually build your own bot based on your trusted data and embed that wherever you want. Embed that in your own application, embed that on your website. So how's build a bot going to work, okay? I want to have completely separate from the dashboards. MicroStrategy is going to give you the ability to build and deploy bots. Okay, so how will this work? Right, we're going to have a new object. So build dossier, build report, build bot. Right, and you are going to be able, when you build a bot, you're going to be able to go and pick any one of your existing data sets or connect and build it with new data. Right, and then in the interface, and this is obviously the funnest bit, you're going to get to give it a name. You could call it Jarvis if you want. Marvel will probably sue you. Actually, no, they won't. Disney will sue you. But any one of you, if you think about your job, if you are an analyst in a big company, right? Stephen, I'll pick on Stephen. So you could build a Stephen bot. Imagine all those people, all the questions you get every single day. And you could say, okay, instead of me having to answer them, just go ask Stephen. Build a Stephen bot and deploy it, and you give it your own avatar, a little picture of you, and give it its own name, and go deploy it in like some corporate portal where people go to ask questions, right? Or alternatively, maybe you support a bunch of, there's a great company in the US that uses MicroStrategy for car dealerships. And all these car dealers across, like, they sell all these German cars and everything, and they use MicroStrategy to ask questions about the history of car prices and stuff. Well, they have so many questions, and they send them to these analysts who then have to, like, spend days and give them back reports. They should just have a bot. Go ask questions of the bot and deploy that bot separately. And you can choose how the bot will react. You can say, bot, act like a financial analyst, act like an accountant, act like a general counsel, right? And it will change the mannerism in the way it responds. You can go through and give all the controls about which data in the data sets you want the bot to use, and then get the code to easily embed it in your web application, in Chrome, in Edge, in Office 365. And one of the other cool features that it will be in the bot, but also in Auto, is if you're asking all these questions of data, you often find yourself going back and looking through all the questions. And you're not looking through them all because you just want to re-review everything. You're looking through because you found something interesting, and you're trying to go back to it and find it again. And so wouldn't it be easier if, when you find something interesting, you could just pin it? We're going to add that to the product. And then you can pin your answers and take this, and here, you just embed it in completely different web application, be them data applications or non-data applications. To make this even more powerful, we're going to let you add structured data, unstructured data, alongside the structured data, so the bots can be fueled by unstructured data and structured data alongside it. Okay, other cool things. Multi-cloud. This quarter, the containerized version of MicroStrategy will be available on GCP. That's it. It's going to be available on GCP. If you use GCP, that's great. And then in the future, we'll have a containerized version in the near future. In addition to GCP, you'll have a containerized version of MicroStrategy that you can use and deploy in private clouds in Azure and AWS as well. All right, lots and lots of integration with Azure services. We're an open platform. We have great partnerships with AWS. We have great partnerships with Google. We're going to let you integrate the LLM of your choice, right? What else? Okay, we're also investing heavily in BI, right? So what are we going to make it easy to do? We're going to make it easy for you to inject your bot in places, but we're also going to be shipping in the near future an integration with Teams for all of your analytics. That includes the AI and the BI. Okay, what else? We've always been very good at, if you have intelligence everywhere, if you have intelligence, you want to act on it, right? So we're going to make it really, really easy for you to build actions into the bot and actions into the dossier. And so we'll be adding, you can't really see it on the edge of that one, but you can see it on the edge of that one. We'll be adding new transactional capabilities to the product in the near future. And because at that point you're building workflows, you're going to want a workflow builder. So in Workstation, you'll be able to build these transactional workflows in the product. And then finally, probably one of the most exciting pieces, we're going to use Gen AI to help you build the incredibly valuable thing that underpins all of this, the schema. Right? And so you'll be able to use Gen AI to look at the data that you add to MicroStrategy with auto schema. It'll build out that star schema, whatever schema is best. And we'll go ahead and start building that schema for you. Probably one of the most challenging parts of building a MicroStrategy environment, but one of the most important parts because it's the foundation upon which you get all that trusted information. And then finally, there's a set of capabilities that we're adding to the product to protect the data, some of which are you're going to be able to go in and specify which data sets and which dossiers are like top secret, confidential, so they're never used and never sent up to any of these LLMs. And we're also going to be adding capabilities where you can blind out the data so that you can, for personal information, medical information, whatever, you be able to go blind out the data for certain users and control what is presented through and how it's presented through. Credit card data, personal data, etc. All right. I know that was a lot. And it got a little fast near the end, but thank you very much. I will say, I've been in MicroStrategy for 24 years. We spent a significant period from about 2018 through to 2022, so rebuilding the entire platform. We rebuilt the entire architecture. It was such a significant rebuild, we rebranded it as MicroStrategy 1 because it essentially is a new version of that MicroStrategy architecture. With that completed, it freed up all of these amazing, talented people in our engineering team and our R&D team to build these innovations that I've just been able to show you. Innovations we've already shipped and innovations that are coming. With MicroStrategy over the next few years, you're going to see so much innovation because that R&D team are now freed up to build these cool, exciting things. Let us know what you think. Apply these things, test them out, iterate, let us know how they work, and we'll continue to work alongside you, making sure you can deliver intelligence everywhere as well. All right, it's all yours. I'll stop talking.
All right. I don't know about everyone else, but what I'm most excited for is definitely the Stephen bot. So just a little bit of housekeeping. So as everyone is aware of, we started 30 minutes late due to the travel disruptions and whatnot. So everything you see on there, just kind of add 30 minutes to. And now, thank you, Hugh, for the keynote. And we'll segment now into our customer presentations for the morning. And one of the things, and those of you who are, have been working with us over the last 18 months or so will recognize that about 18 months ago, we merged what was our Nordics business and our UK business. And although this is great personally for me, because I get to see my two nephews in Oslo a lot more, it's more important for our customers and our partners because we can collaborate and blend all the knowledge that there is in our customer and partner ecosystem with the UK, with our operations and our customers and our partners in our Nordics. And with all of that being said, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to John Corbishley, product owner at Swedbank, to tell us all about Swedbank and MicroStrategy's journey.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Away from the back if you can hear me okay. Thank you. Found it. So I start today with a massive thank you for the opportunity to present today. Am I working? Everybody hear me okay? Yes. So, originally from England, I now live in Stockholm, Sweden, and today I would like to present to you Swedbank. I would like to spend a few minutes sharing the history of Swedbank itself for those who haven't heard about it. I will spend even fewer time explaining myself and then quickly move on to how we've been using MicroStrategy for our BI tool for quite some time. So our origins go back some 200 years. So in 1820 in Sweden, it was not a very wealthy country. In fact, it was one of the poorest in Europe. So banks 200 years ago in Sweden were very rare and were only used by those with great wealth, you know, royalty and princes. So back in Gothenburg, in 1820 was the forming of the first savings bank in Sweden. This started a revolution. This meant that people can now invest and save money for their financial security. Prior to this, if anybody did come into money, the only options they had was to buy something of value, for example, a silver spoon, a silver knife and fork, and then to go and bury it in the forest for later. That's it. That's the only investment they had. So that revolution started, and in about 1928, we had grown to just under 500 separate savings banks distributed across Sweden. And in 1942, those savings banks realized that they need to have some governance. So they formed what is called Sparbankens Bank, Savings Banks Bank. Now, at the same time, we also had the agricultural community building their own banking systems called the cooperative banks. You've probably heard that across other European countries. And in 1991, they merged together to form the Föreningsbank. Translated, that's the association bank. And again, through another merger in 1992, 11 of the regional savings banks came together to form the Sparbankens Sverige, the saving bank of Sweden. Now, 1997 was a busy year. You can see that we have the merger of the association bank and the savings bank to form one bank. But also, 1997, you will see, is the first time we have an installation of MicroStrategy. So we've been customers for quite some time. Now, if you cast your minds back to 1991, you may remember that Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia gained independence from Russia. They then started their own journey on financial security. And one example of that journey is a bank called Hansa. So over in the Baltics, the Hansa Bank became quite popular. And in 2005, the Swedish part of the business acquired all of the Hansa Baltic part. So quite a broad Swedish and Baltic financial institute. Until 2006, where the general meeting, they decided to rename the Swedish branch with Swedbank, and in 2008, the Hansa Bank parties changed as well. So quite a long history the bank has had for those 200 years. Today, we have some over 7 million retail customers. That better? Ah, it's back to here. Still hear me? Brilliant. And we have just over 500,000 corporate customers. We have branches, over 200, distributed across the countries, and of course major offices in some of the largest cities. Now, it may seem like a small number, particular to the next presenter, so quite humble, but in terms of the size of those markets, we are a significant player. I haven't been around in Swedbank that long, so I found it very interesting to do some of the research. And in the records we found that the first person to use the savings bank, created in 1820, was a 3-year-old. As you can see, Carolina Bernardina Hammerdal. We have to assume the parents were involved, but you can tell at that time, parents are now realizing that they need to invest in the future of their children. In the same year, 1820, and I have to read the numbers, I've tried to memorize them but failed, we have 741 other customers depositing money into this new savings bank. And from the records that we have, 291 of those are children. I read that as parents investing into the future, the security of their own children. Then we have 41 wives and widows. We have 66 workers, craftsmen, tradesmen, and apprentices. We have 37 factory workers, day labourers, and boatmen. We have 40 unmarried women, and then we have a single sailor. So this is the start of the revolution. But what's also very interesting is this is data from 200 years ago. Can you imagine how much data we have on all of our customers that have joined us over the last 200 years? A few minutes about myself. My name, John Corbishley. I'm the product owner for one of the reporting teams that is using MicroStrategy. Originally from England, now living in Sweden, married, children, dogs, cars, learning to ski. I've been at the bank for 5 years, and one of the things I wanted to say is it's been really interesting to prepare for this presentation. The history of the bank, but also interviewing colleagues who've been working with MicroStrategy much longer than I have. So I want to give you a little bit of background of how we've grown up together with MicroStrategy for these 26 years. So a little picture of our landscape. We have MicroStrategy. Within there, we have 31 unique projects. At the moment, we have 2 data warehouses. I'll go into more detail later. And we currently have 7 major databases providing data into MicroStrategy. I already have a use case that could potentially add 2 more, but you will quickly see how much data is distributed across the bank. Then we have 4 reporting teams. SPR is the biggest in terms of users. We have about 3,000 advisors consuming the reports from that service. Myself is next, with the reporting team delivering about 2,000 reports, 2,000 users across both Swedbank and these savings banks. And we have a team, products and advice. There are about 1,500 users there. And we also have a financing organisation for cars, and they have about 1,000 actual customers of Swedbank using MicroStrategy externally. And altogether, although it's difficult, we have so much activity, it's about 6,500 reports that are defined there. So lots of information in various different formats need to be distributed to multiple consumers. A little history. So, as you've already heard, 1997 is the first time I can find any evidence of a group-wide installation. I'm sure there's been smaller installations, but I cannot vouch for those. So from 1997, our partnership started. I also found evidence that in 2000, the bank did a review of all those available BI tools and found MicroStrategy to be the preferred one with its launch of version 7. Then we started to realize the value in bringing all these different data sources together into data warehouses. And I was able to steal, beg and borrow this quite ancient slide, but you can quickly see just how many different data sources there are distributed. These are owned by different organizations, different teams. They have different structures, different access level, quite complex. So this concept of data warehouses really makes the accessibility of the data better. We have MicroStrategy presenting and making sense of this data. And even the bullet points are starting to highlight that we want to have this portfolio view of what our customers are doing. We want to have scorecards. We want to have this data accessible quickly. We're even using SMS alerts based on the data and its behavior directly to the stockbrokers and the advisors. And of course, sadly, we are extremely reliant upon Excel and continue to be today. 2011, we took advantage of MicroStrategy's mobile service, and we built our own in-house mobile application. It was launched to 3 different areas, and as you would expect, behind the scenes, there's a portfolio of different reports providing all this different insights to the vast amount of data that the bank has. We also have the link over to the web service should there be any missing information from the mobile service itself. This one was a complete success, I'm happy to say. Then, moving on, so some 15 years later into our journey, we quickly realized that we were struggling with stability of MicroStrategy and also performance from our data warehouse. So we took a moment to stop, and we did an investigation into why we were struggling. The first finding was that we had MicroStrategy installed on a shared infrastructure. And it wasn't MicroStrategy, but all the environment around us was having a detrimental effect on our service. So the first thing we did was move MicroStrategy onto its dedicated infrastructure, and it remains there today. We also took a look at how we had engineered or how the data warehouse had naturally grown. And we took an investigation to find out how we should actually re-engineer that to improve its performance and basically make it ready for the long journey ahead. We continued to do this migration, this particular private banking, moving even more data from even more unique data sources into this data warehouse. So, 2013. Swedbank is a very risk-averse organisation. Everything we do, the decisions we make, are all based on risk. For the first time, we moved a major organisation into MicroStrategy and used it to make judgments and assessment and apply indicators for the level of risk for transactions that were being handled. So the basics, we needed to get access to that data quickly. We needed to process it to be able to make that risk assessment quickly and then make those findings available to our agents. And at its concept, there was about 1,000 users initially. I found some old diagrams, so apologies, but just highlighting all these different unique data sources yet again. We were using SAS Enterprise at the time, and as you can see, output was Excel and PDF. So nothing interactive at all. At the conclusion of the project in 2014, you can see that we're now using the data warehouse. A note, you'll see it's SDV. That's the Swedish data warehouse. We're using MicroStrategy to be able to present all of the valuable information we have there. And we have a unique project called RAS, in which we generate these reports. It's now available online, interactive to the advisors. The next one, 2014. Excuse my excitement. This is one of the services I provide to the bank. We created a project called Universe. We were realizing that with this vast amount of data available in the data warehouse, the development cycles was now slowing down because we had to have an understanding of the data itself. And we realized if we could make some common objects, we could actually increase the speed of development of these reports. So the Uni project was made in order to make common objects so that essentially my team could respond quicker to business. The benefit of that is we then enable self-service for those users who are able to use MicroStrategy themselves. So this became the biggest project in terms of number of reports created. At its concept around 2014, we had about 10 to 20 users. Now we see between 300 and 700 users per month. At the beginning, we were doing about 240 executions a month. Now we're doing between 35 and 70,000 executions per month. The reason of the fluctuations is a lot of our work is cyclic. So we do end of month processing, end of quarter processing, half yearly processing, and yearly. So it's a very wavy line if you look at what we actually report on. But this is a very active project. There's a lot of data nicely organized through common objects and very popular for self-service. Then, 2017, we have another example of using the mobile service. And we also start to see SPR, steering and profitability reporting, appear on the landscape. Now, again, you will see it's a mobile service for group risk. It's actually made available to the board of directors. So my apologies, it was very difficult to get a screenshot from their machines. So I've had to recreate it with the best of my ability. But essentially, it's a single page with traffic light system across all of the different areas of the bank. If everything is green, then the board of directors continue on their business. Should anything change to amber or to red, then it's an interactive interface where they can quickly click on those areas of interest and get the portfolio of reports behind there. So again, information and data at the fingertips of those people who need it. So you have to trust me, that's an imagination of how it looks today. Well, we have SPR coming onto the scene, and these are really in support of our Swedish advisors. As you can see, we have two different portals available to our advisors. One is our corporate customers, and the other one is our premium customers. And this is, again, data at the fingertips of the advisors who have the customers on the telephone or in the branches. Just an important note, this is purely test data used for educational purposes, so don't worry about how the graphs look. And again, 2021, another launch from our SPR colleagues. This one is now called the Advisory Portal. So this is now available to all advisors, some 3,000 advisors. And it's really important for the following the profitability across the bank. It very quickly became the largest project in terms of users logging in. And it remains highly valuable and highly utilized today. Then this year, what are we doing currently? Yet again, SPR have outdone themselves, but the major difference here is we are now using library, and we're also generating dossiers. In this case, these are for managers to have their KPI reports on their own organizations. And there's an initiative that I've kicked off. I politely call it the Transformation Factory. In November last year, I merged my MicroStrategy team with a team that were delivering massive business value, but through free-form SQL reports. The immediate problem I had was these reports were obviously generated manually. They are in high demand. They are massive business value. Some examples of those are we have an obligation to report things like general ledgers. And when we do that across both Swedbank and all of the savings banks, that becomes a very massive amount of work twice per year. And then we also have this team generating reports to track customer behavior. So we have a service in Sweden called Swish, and it's the ability to use an app on your phone to transfer money both between your friends, but also to buy in shops and in the parks when there's hot dog vans. We want to track that behavior because we see a growth in Sweden of using mobiles as their default way of payment services. We also track behavior like offboarding from one service to another. That could be from one app to the Swish account. We also have a Swedbank Pay, which is the blip with the phone for the pay services. And then we also have a service that is credit tracking. This is something that we basically monitor regularly to make sure that everybody is being able to manage their credit. How we decided to approach this was when we look at the requests, they are a request from a single individual for a single report delivered by one of my engineers. So it's unsustainable. But looking through the metrics, we can see that we have a particular report that is repeatedly requested by multiple individuals. So that's a huge opportunity to get myself out of that business. And then when we've analysed what's happening, we can see some areas of the business are requesting a report. And we actually can see how that can bring so much value to another area of the business. They just don't know it yet. So by moving it into MicroStrategy, we make it readily available for the masses. We're approaching this in two ways. The lift and shift way is we simply take the freeform SQL, we move it into a recently created project, and we just enable self-service. The end users can go in, generate or execute the SQL, and export that Excel form. The other way we're doing it is we are building those common objects again in Uni. We're then creating a dossier, so we're moving them to interaction. Again, self-service, getting our users into MicroStrategy and starting that transformation into an interactive journey that they can then build upon what they have today as an Excel file. So really interesting conversations around those transformations. I'd like to share with you a little bit more detail about what the typical scope of reports that my team generate. You've already heard about how risk averse we are. So we have a really in-depth risk management process. We need to assess things like the risks associated with all of the transactions that customers are doing. We need to assess the risks of the countries involved. There might be sanctions involved. Then we also want to make sure that the track record of the customers is on a positive climb. So are there any risks that customers are making continuous bad decisions, bad investments? And then obviously, as we all know, just the general economic market is a challenge right now. So we need to make sure that we're managing the risks associated with that. Then anti-money laundering. Any financial institute is a target for criminals to move their money through. The money could be gained from illegal activities or could be tried to be used for illegal activities. And one of the really highest focuses that we have is to constantly adapt and identify these different and forever changing movements of money through our systems and between banks. We do this by having something called KYC. Many people have Know Your Customer, so that we can build a portfolio and an understanding of what typical behavior they have. If they have colleagues or businesses abroad, then we expect some international transfer. But if all of a sudden they start doing transfers to new countries, then it raises our awareness and we need to do further assessments. Then we've got fraud and criminal investigations. We support and work alongside investigations, as well as some larger organisations who actually initiate these investigations. And because we have so much data about the movement of money, they rely on us to provide that insight. Regulatory reporting. We've all heard of GDPR. We all need to comply with that. But being a financial institute, the list is extensive for how many interested parties are watching every move we make, how we handle money. And I've just got a short list here. One of the biggest we do is PSD2, Payment Services Directive. The reason we have to be so compliant with this, there's a risk of fines of up to 4% of our annual revenue should we not be compliant. And we need to deliver that report twice a year, and it is quite comprehensive. We also have something called MiFID, Markets in Financial Instruments Directive. Beautiful things to roll off your tongue. So these are in order to protect European investors. And again, numerous reports need to be generated and distributed by these external parties. We also have FSA, the Swedish Financial Supervisory Authority. Again, demand regular reports on what we're doing, why we're doing it, where we're doing it. And finally, Basel II. Now, these are just some examples. I could list them, but we don't have time today. And then finally, our most important is guiding our customers. Our advisors are our front line in guiding and identifying any of the problems that the customers are having. We intend to guide and advise and make sure that the financial health of our customers is increasing. And this covers so many different types of reports that we generate across the different products that we offer. So some of the things that we are working on right now. If you remember back, I spoke about the Swedish data warehouse, and I said that we have two. We also had the growth of our Baltic data warehouse. Now, recently, we made a strategic decision that became our group data warehouse. So all new initiatives will be stored in the Baltic data warehouse. So I would like MicroStrategy to be able to consume that data as well. Therefore, MicroStrategy becomes the enterprise-wide, bank-wide BI reporting tool. Right now, we're currently thinking of using multi-sourcing as a temporary interim solution while we work with the data warehouse to build this access layer. We're also working closely with MicroStrategy themselves. We have many of these regulatory authorities demanding that we export our reports as XML, but with their own XSD schemas. Already, MicroStrategy have given us a plugin. So if you remember in MicroStrategy, the drop-down list is export to CSV, export to Excel, and export to PDF. With this plugin, we now have XML listed. And we're currently working together on how to make an interactive experience where we can upload these very different XSD schemas so that this XML output is formatted in the way that these regulatory authorities demand. Then you've heard about this excitement, this transformation factory. We're just at the start of that journey. So we are aiming to just purely reduce the workload on my team. But as you've heard, we've identified that there are other business areas that don't realize they have these reports available to give them even better insights into their customers. So once we have some free time and we reduce the workload, we'll be extending the usage of these transformed reports. We recently signed a deal with MicroStrategy with their education portal. Primarily, I want to be able to develop my development team so we can build better reports, dossiers, and use the capabilities of MicroStrategy. But you can also hear we've started the self-service journey. So I want to educate our end users as well to make the best of the product. And then, why we're all here today, some AI use cases. So I have to add the caveat that, as I've said before, Swedbank is a risk-averse organisation, but it is also a pillar of society. The financial institute that it is the same as electric and water. It's a service to society. We're not the first to adopt and embrace new technology. However, some interesting conversations have arose about where we can use the capabilities of AI. One of these is we would really like to take care of customers as individuals. We just have lots of them. So by using AI to monitor and to track and watch a customer's behavior, to understand better their goals and their, where they want to be, we could perhaps make better guidance and judgment and make really good advice in an interactive way. So we hope to see AI helping us guide our customers better. Then, money laundering. It's a never-ending cat and mouse game. We close down some channels that the money's going through our systems. They find new ways of getting their money through the system. The use of AI there might be invaluable. If we can be one step ahead of the criminals, then we can be more secure that we have all of our, methods covered. And then finally, because we have so many products available to our customers, we want to be able to see how they're being used. For example, if we see a shift from one product to another, we maybe can decommission a service or investigate why it's not popular, or even adapt it to the one that's becoming more popular. So we want to be able to make sure our services and our portfolio is the right ones for our customers. And then, as you've heard by the earlier presentation, MicroStrategy AI. Some very interesting use cases there. So as part of the Transformation Factory, at the moment we are doing nothing more than taking the Excel results and creating an interactive dossier from that. But as you've heard already, we have the data, the common objects available. We would love the auto dashboard to help us to gain even better insights into the readily available data. So that's one area that we will be trying out when made available, when we upgrade. The second one is similar. You've seen how we've created the Uni project. We've got a vast portfolio of common objects. We've used our best endeavors to use those common objects and create dossiers to gain the best value from that data. But with auto answers, maybe we start to have an interactive journey with that data. Maybe there's an insight into that data that only the business or the advisors, so my technical team, do not understand. And I think that is where this interactive journey is really going to pay dividends. And then finally, self-service. A lot of our time now is explaining to those end users how to log in, where to find the export to Excel button. Now, it takes time from our technical team, and fingers crossed, this auto expert becomes the interactive teacher for our end users. And not only that, I have some seasoned engineers in my team who've been with MicroStrategy for 15, 20 years. Maybe they can learn a thing or two about the new capabilities built into the platform. So I think we can all learn much more from this interactive. And it's much better than reading the thick manuals we have with these sort of products. I would like to again thank you very much for your time and your patience and the ability to present to you this morning. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. Very extremely insightful in terms of the innovation that Swedbank is going through. And so next up, we've got another customer speaker, but just before we get to that, I wanted to try something a little bit fun. Can everyone wave to the live stream online? There we go. And I'm pretty sure they can't see you, but that was just a little bit of a social experiment, so thank you, everyone. Also, one quick plug. Remember when we were talking about the Gartner Peer Insights and the backpacks that we have to give away? If there is the QR code right on the back of the name tags. I realized I kind of skipped through it pretty quickly earlier this morning on the slide. The next customer speaker is one of our rockstar speakers from World earlier this year in Orlando. And he is such a rock star, by the way, he's going to hate me saying this, that he comes with his own hype-up video. So the ultimate drum roll. And let's see if we can cue it up. And then I'll introduce him after the video.
This is live. live from PS5, let's go now to our first story. The good people of Manhattan woke up to a gift from their favorite hero as he delivered a gang of criminals on something of a webbed platter.
Historic scenes unfolding in San Francisco.
Leroy, the first of her tribe to have laid eyes on this scene in over 2,000 years.
Oavsett om det här är skimmervintern eller inte så är det...
お伝えしてます。後ろをご覧ください。召喚獣同士の戦いは激しさを増してます。
Unsure whether to call a doctor or a gardener.
Experts are linking all of these events to an increase in activity on PS5.
Story's coming a little fast. A ship crash lands on
Who's
the
just
at breakneck
strange
speed.
occurrence?
Sorry to cut you off there, Tom.
Shapes appear.
Unprecedented. In today's news.
Let's go right now.
This was live from PS5, bringing you the extraordinary.
Very good, very good. And I'm really pleased that this is well timed because I just got my PS5 over the weekend. And hopefully no one from my leadership team is listening, but I'm losing many of hours to it. But please, without further ado, Paul Bailey, Senior Analytics Engineering Manager for Sony PlayStation.
I definitely insist on the hype video. There's no question. Don't do any meetings without it. So I'm sure you've all heard of Sony, from brands like Walkman and Bravia through film franchises like Spider-Man and musical artists like Adele and ZZ Top. Sony's come a long way since Ibuka-san and Morita-san made their first tape recorder in 1946. A very long way, with 11.5 trillion yen of sales in our last fiscal year. Sony's vision is, and I'm going to have to read this, to use our unlimited passion for technology, content, and services to deliver groundbreaking new excitement and entertainment as only Sony can. But I'm here to talk about Sony Interactive Entertainment, or as most people would know it be called, PlayStation. I'd like to talk to you this morning about the importance of data and analytics in our journey. It's been 28 years since the first PlayStation hit the shelves. And 28 years is a long time, and it's a really long time in technology. The original PlayStation was a standalone device, produced no data for analytical or any other purposes. The current PlayStation, which Seth is finding out now, provides a stream of information that allows us to make data-driven decisions about how to make PlayStation the best place to play. Each generation of our consoles has stood on the shoulders of its ancestors, thanks to this data. So, going back through time, since PlayStation launched in 1995, we've sold more than 500 million consoles, billions of games, and we're proud to have more than 100 million active users on PlayStation Network each month. PlayStation launched when internet access at home meant a dial-up connection, and buying a console meant going to a physical retailer. From an analytics perspective, games consoles were no different than any other consumer electronic devices. Point of sales information, and that's about it. In 2000, when the record-breaking PlayStation 2 was released, although things were starting to change, in the US, only around 1% of adults had access to a broadband connection at home. So, jumping forward to 2006 and the release of PS3, things were different. We had Facebook, and although we were still in the pre-iPhone smartphone era, home Wi-Fi networks were much more common. So PlayStation 3 was Wi-Fi enabled and launched alongside PSN, PlayStation Network, and PlayStation Store. As a result, more data became available to us, and the predecessor of our current data warehouse was born. This is when we invested in MicroStrategy to leverage that database and give more timely and accurate information to our business community. Everything changed again with PlayStation 4 in 2013. If PlayStation 3 opened the door for data analytics, PlayStation 4 threw it wide open. So, as a company, we embraced a data-driven ethos, making much more data available, enabling us to make our network operations more robust, optimize platform features, and build an even stronger connection with our players. It was the first console that my team had been involved in from before launch, and we provided more day one analytics than ever before. PS4 became our fastest selling console ever, and that success was matched by a hugely increased appetite for data and insight across the business and massively higher volumes of data. We just about managed to expand our capacity to keep pace, even if we had to remove a door frame or two to get new database appliances into the data center. And I did see the photos, and they made quite a mess, but we did get it in there. So in the context of those two launches, PS3 and PS4, how did our teams mature? Well, we learned that not all dashboards need a map. We also learned that being selective with data was more important than ever as a greater and greater breadth of data became available. We wanted to prioritize actionable insight. So PS5 launched into a very different world in 2020. It was an online world out of necessity at that point, and we were able to apply the lessons of the PS4 launch to PS5, giving us the best release analytics yet, although just about the entire company was working remotely at the time. We used MicroStrategy to report on the new console alongside the continuing success of its predecessor, and for the first time, we had similar data available from both the current and previous generations at launch. So, speaking about unexpected events, let's talk about Fortnite. If you're a parent with children of a certain age, you'll know about Fortnite. But it was, as a free-to-play game, a viral, disruptive sensation. So its revenue model was really common in the mobile world. We hadn't really seen it on consoles before. A game that generated all of its revenue after players had downloaded it for free. So analysts across SIE had to rapidly pivot to understand the changes, and thanks to our team, not in Excel. So we have a large portion of our offering is self-service. So we were able to put in place a system that meant the business could start reacting to it before we had even started to build something that might support that. So again, because we had that increased data availability and the semantic layer available, they were starting straight away. They didn't have to wait for us, which was a key advantage at this moment. So we were able to use this data as a leading indicator, which is undoubtedly where you want to be when something like this is happening. And it's that same semantic layer that underpinned one of the other changes we took at this time post-PS5 launch. So as you can probably imagine, as a global organization, we have regional KPIs, global KPIs, and we consolidated the production of those things from individual analyst teams all over the business into a single portal for senior management using MicroStrategy. We automated and published a consolidated, customized one-stop shop. The analyst teams could then focus on forecasting, providing commentary, rather than producing the dashboards, and we now had one single source of truth in a well-understood location for the crucial information. We then enhanced this application with more detailed, drill-down dossiers, again for the senior level management from those KPIs, which formed a very popular consolidated reporting portal that has the advantage of tying figures back exactly to lower level ad hoc analysis performed using the same semantic layer. There's always more that we want to do. So as a data and analytics function, we're always investigating and trying to leverage what we have and build out what we need to do. So as an example, with the latest versions of MicroStrategy, we're now using custom applications to extend our reach outside of SIE into the wider Sony group, using custom applications to give people in other business units insight into our data, while it's still in a controlled environment where we can show them what we need them to see without too much complexity or too much access to things they shouldn't have access to. Fundamentally, we want to make the right decision more easily and more quickly using the vast amount of data that we have. So the challenges we have now are quite different from 10 years ago. Now our problems are less about getting data and more about information overload. We need to make sure that users are seeing the right data in the right way at the right time. It's very easy if you go into our main MicroStrategy project to become overwhelmed if you have access to everything and you're just browsing our schemas and the hierarchies. So from the ability to combine dossiers into holistic applications, to using library and encouraging our users now to use library as their entry point into MicroStrategy, where we have content groups and custom applications and some custom apps which we've built to surface relevant content for users. We are continuing to use MicroStrategy to maximize the value of all the work we've done and all the work we continue to do. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. Coffee next, I think, is it?